like old rich just couldn't become new rich without a significant life event.
So Rich, you've built this social venue, this place for gathering people, and we're going to get to that. But I want to go back in time because you said you've built this very strategically and carefully thought out every step of the way. Can you take me back to before Norms was a thing and kind of where you were in life and what led you to want to make a shift? What was a day in your life like?
Leaning a lot through my head. Not my heart, not to jump ahead to what I'm doing now, but everything was very organized, strategic to what the corporate life needed me to do. I was a very stressed out person, a lot of anxiety. Didn't really know where that anxiety was coming from, but not something that I could deal with easily. I love to see my customers, which is about 40% of my job, that personal connection. But the other 60% was admin and other areas of the job that I really didn't have a skill set for. So
you were in finance.
I was in finance. So when we look at my weekly scorecard, it'd be like, these are all good. What are you doing about these? But it'd be the same thing for decades, which always kept me up at night. Always texting myself in the middle of the night, trying to figure out what I'm going to do the next day, how I'm going to get this stuff done to prioritize what I need to for my clients while getting through all the weeds of the rest of the job.
And how did that show up and translate into your life? Did you have downtime?
I didn't. So there's no work-life balance. COVID probably was the best thing for me. Being able to work from home, be able to take my dog for a walk at my leisure, be able to kind of map out my day, not knowing that I had to be in certain meetings all the time in the physical sense. Is a lot more accommodative. I could do a lot more in a day. Just gave me more free time to think. And during COVID, during that thought process is where this idea came up. I will always be honest with myself, and we'll get to the reason behind the business, but I was never going to get there. It was too stable of a job, did well for the family, and I was just going to do it for 30 years, get my pension in.
So you're working finance, you're doing everything that needs to be done to maintain your position. You're in a spot where you're not really happy with the flow of it, but committed to staying because it's safe?
Yep. I was a very conservative person. I honestly thought through everything solely through my head, not through what I was feeling. I was just like, it's just the smart thing to do is to stay here.
Right. Grin, bear it, push through.
Yep.
If you can go back, do you recognize what those feelings were that you were suppressing?
Just trusting myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
Trusting that I could do something outside, solo, without any help, because I did have the infrastructure that I could do whatever I needed to for my clients, that 40% of the job that I really liked. So I liked that. They had all the tools and all the widgets and the technology and whatever they built it, big company. But just knew I could never see that way out.
Right. Can we talk about your new beer?
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about it later, but you just came out with a new beer called Army Brat.
Army Brat.
And I have a feeling there's a story behind that.
A little bit.
Do you mind sharing that with me?
Of course. Yeah, super excited. We'll do, it's not our manufactured beer, as I don't know, water, beer, barley, I don't know, yeast. They put it all together in a nice fashion. But it's through Fine Balance. It's one of their light beers that did really well in our place. So we wrapped it with something that even in my business plan from 3 years ago, it said, I want a camoed Army Brat can with my grandfather's name through a local company. So I am the Brat. I'm still a Brat, but I'm the Army Brat.
Right.
I'm the first wall to not be in the military. So my dad military, my grandfather military, his dad. I actually think I fact-checked this. My dad corrected me that I was the first wall since 1899 to not be in the military.
But did you move around a lot as a kid?
7 times in 14 years.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. So I guess, born in Pembroke, Ontario.
Okay.
then Chilliwack, BC, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, back to Petawawa, Toronto, Edmonton, Kingston.
And Kingston stuck.
Kingston stuck. I was like, I'm not moving again. So wanting to use this beer, great beer, as not only a marketing tool, it's a great beer, but also to reflect the values of my grandfather. Army Brat, after Norms, has like a camo image with poppies on it. Him and I never missed a Remembrance Day ceremony together, which was always, super important to me to always make those events, and to give back in some way or another. So I've since been talking to, it was really cool going through the Legion 560 the other day, seeing his name up on the board as a donor, having the meeting about how to, promote some kind of sponsorship within their organization at Legion 560, standing right side of where my grandfather's name was a super cool feeling, and they reciprocated on the feeling. So we're going to be hopefully not the only bar to be serving it soon.
Amazing. Now, we're jumping a bit around in the timeline. That's totally fine. But for anybody who doesn't know, your name is Rich.
My name is Rich.
And
yes.
Your grandfather is Norm.
Yes.
Was Norm.
Yes. 1,000 times this year minimum. Are you Norm? I'm Norm's grandson. So yes, we do have a bit of marketing planned for the front when you walk in of why Norm's. It's got a bunch of pictures and his shadow boxes and some medals and stuff that I want to put in like a glass case up there, just so people walk in and go, oh, right.
Was he part of your upbringing when your father was posted to Ottawa? Was he local? Was Norm around here?
Norm was in Kingston for pretty much his whole life after he retired at 55, after 30 years in the Canadian Armed Forces. So he was here. He didn't have much of a life, though, to be honest. My grandmother was very ill very early on, immobile, and he was everything to her.
Sole caregiver.
Yeah, I honestly don't think she did anything by herself for a decade. He was, so the only time I really see him, it'd be infrequent, but we'd see them together when she was feeling well enough to maybe go for dinner.
He obviously had a big influence on you, even with the distance, for you to name the bar after him.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
It wasn't really that distance. I always just knew he was there. And again, moving every 2 years, away from Kingston, they weren't necessarily traveling out to see us for a weekend. We were always on the move or doing something. So getting back into Kingston and being able to reconnect was positive, but it wasn't what led to this whole inclusion in the name. You get really raw here, but because I was thinking about this on the way over, my grandmother passed January 2015. My wife and I, sorry, I'm not going to get choked up here. My wife and I bought our first house together in September 2014, and we got a Christmas card made. And I was going to deliver it to my grandmother and my grandfather one evening, and I blew them off for whatever reason. Something came up, I'll give you the card tomorrow. I never saw her again.
There was no tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah. So live with a lot of guilt and regret in that mind for whatever reason, I put whatever that was more important ahead of that meeting, that interaction. So 2014 to his passing in 2022, we committed to seeing each other multiple times a week, which is part of that, and I never missed a meeting.
I'd say that's the best possible outcome from a tragic situation like that. And I take it you bonded over golf?
Bonded over golf, bonded over business. He was just interested in what I was doing. Bonded over his life and his history. And after she died, he really... quick decision I made with this to actually go forward with this business, not the quick business of planning it, but he was just like, I can grieve and crawl up in a ball, or I can get out there, something I haven't been doing. So he, his apartment has some, bars around, so he started meeting people and going out to events and getting friends and going to Jamaica trips with golf trips with these people and going down to Florida. Yeah, he just made the decision to be more involved, and I was happy to take on that partner. So we broke a lot of COVID rules to hit that 8-year stretch. But I want to say, I'll do the quick math how many Fridays there are in 8 years, but I think we missed probably 3 of them, and they're all because he had a date with somebody. So It wasn't on me, which I felt good about though.
Yeah.
He was a social butterfly, and that's where, when I didn't know what norms would be called, I knew it was going to be golf associated, but I was like, golf and what? I don't want it to be just a golf place. I was like, well, he was a golfer and a social butterfly. There it is.
He really inspired everything.
Everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And he heard it from me for 9 months or so. So like, this is, again, those September months, like September 2021, I'm it's still like COVID, but I found these like golf simulator places because they were closing the golf courses for whatever reason, because 2 people were touching the flagpole or something. I don't know. It was silly for everyone. Indoor golf was open though in certain areas because they could segment the bays. So from a business perspective, I was like, COVID-proof business seems like, a little less risk than doing something that could be taken over by a pandemic. So we went to a couple of them in September. I ended up taking my father-in-law for his 60th on November 7th, 2021, and went to this place in Ottawa. And it was packed. I couldn't believe it. Fortunately, there was the owner present, and we just talked for 3 hours while I played. And I just tried to take as much information as I could from him,
Right.
like what he was good at, what made him start it, all these kind of things, and had the same story. Similar, actually, though. He lost his brother, and this kind of made him want to do something other than be a professional accountant. So that's kind of that's eerie now that I'm saying that out loud. I just didn't actually connect the dots.
I mean, what you're describing is, the loss of your community and wanting to build a community space so others don't feel that loneliness.
Yep.
And I think that's totally valid. That's and honorable. So
He was super supportive. So I came back after that trip, and I think that was the following Friday, and I was like, I want to quit the bank and start a golf business.
Wow.
And he was like, do it. And I was like, what do you mean, do it? And he's like, well, do it right. So I started building the business plan. Our Friday lunches started turning into more like business meetings. We would take off and go look at different venues together to talk to owners if they'd be interested. The first kind of play with it was, even at Blue Martini, being like, you're using this space in the back. Like, we can just run the simulators, you run the bar. I didn't really even want to be involved in the bar thing, which has obviously changed, but wanted it just be a complement of different businesses. And we went up and down Princess everywhere to try to find a place. And I think we stuck to those areas because it was around where he lived. Soon found out that the ceilings weren't high enough in any place, so we
Right.
had to move out outside that. But yeah, we got pretty far. We knew the system we were using. We knew the general floor plan. We wanted the big bays, fun bar, the lawn game area when we started to map it out.
And you had all this mapped while you're still slaving away
Yep.
in finance. So you're still managing all of the stress, but finding the energy to focus on building this new
For sure.
initiative.
Oh yeah.
Had you committed yet internally? Had you committed that I'm doing this, or
No.
were you still exploring?
I incorporated too. I remember the bank seeing an email before, like, what's a virtual golf investments? And I was like, oh, just a play hobby thing. Right? Because I'm doing it all on my corporate computer too, just
Right.
not thinking anything of it. I'm like, everyone's allowed to have hobbies, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I was poking away at. So I had pretty much numbers wise done, but again, I was doing it as a hobby, just something to fill my mind away from the stresses of my job, and something
Right.
that made me happy.
You found some joy in to fill this void of joy. You created your own.
I did. It was really just fun to talk about, and
Yeah.
and so my wife will go back and be like, "You were talking about this in 2015." I'm like, "I'm sure I was," but
Right.
it never became And truth be told, like if he was alive today, there's no way I would have done it.
So Norm passed.
Yeah.
And how did that impact you enough to leap, to go from that dreamer stage to doer stage?
Like honestly, it's the like, yeah, it's like just like the energy of where like my time was spent so much in my mind just left, and I was a heavy griever, super angry, a lot of reflection on life. This will be a bit of a jump ahead, but I remember a guy who was pitching, needed some money for the business, so I was pitching the idea to him and talking about the name and stuff, and he asked me, first time somebody's asked me this, but he asked me, was that your first loss? And that's just always really stuck with me, because I'm like, yeah, maybe that's what changed me, right? Like golfing with him on the Monday and then finding him on the Friday just crushed me. So I took whatever time off work. I didn't care. That's the thing. People are calling me silent. I don't care. Like I'm focusing on me and my mental health and trying to get better and figure out, but I just couldn't imagine going back there. They 3 days bereavement leave, like get out of here.
Right.
I'll take as much time as I need. So, I mean, not to say that this is a problem for me or any means, but like probably told my wife around October, he died September 5th. I was like, I feel like I've had 500 beers. Like I am just drowning in sorrow. And then I don't know, something just clicked and I said, fuck it, I'm doing it. So then the work of coming back to work was, fortunately, I was 100% commission employee. So I just made my schedules, right? Like I just, and trust me, they weren't happy about it, but like I would just like pack my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday so I could go to Toronto and see these simulators Thursday, Friday and test them out.
So how long from that day when you said, I know what it is and I know what I'm doing, did it take you to find the space?
September 18th, 2023. That's the day that we put in a firm intent on the lease, and that's the day I left the bank.
Same day?
Yep.
Oh, how did you feel at the end of that day?
No,
how did you feel at the start of that day?
Well, I guess the first was the RioCan availability, fits your mindset, zone properly, etc. And then having that conversation and leaving on mutually beneficial terms.
And then how did you feel on September 19th waking up?
Good. I was going to Toronto to build the bays with the guy in-home golf solutions that we tag in a lot of our posts. He was instrumental in figuring out this construction, which was like GC next. Haven't been to GC before. Knew some struggles were coming and I would have needed everybody, which fortunately I had.
Amazing. And then, so now it's full build mode. You've dumped the stresses of the job.
Yep.
Picked up new stresses. Was there fear at all of what am I doing? Like, did you ever have those moments, or were you rock solid all the way through?
That would be impossible. I'd say I was rock solid in my pursuit of, getting Norms on the door, spreading that name wherever I could. But no, it was not easy.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah. Construction, negotiating like rent period, getting free rent, and then knowing that's how much you have rent before you start, or free time to make your construction until you start paying them.
And you found a lot of great partnerships through the construction phase. You said you surrounded yourself with people that...
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that a lot of my very close friends are all in the trades. So if they could do it themselves, they would. If it was more of a licensing thing that needed to be done, then they would just get their boss or whoever within the company to come in.
Perfect.
So I just had literally, just a million different tasks in a Gantt chart, knew who was doing what, it was all fine. There was just significant snags that we won't go into detail with because it's all under the floor now.
Right. So we've got the space built. The last free day of your rent period is now the space is ready to go.
September 29th, that's when we soft opened.
And
shoved everything we didn't do in the back and just said, here's our place.
And you opened the doors?
Open the doors, yep.
And how did that feel for you? Did you have a moment? Did you have maybe an unspoken conversation with Norm about the space when you saw his name up above the door?
Yeah. Yeah, we chat. I go to his graveside. Remembrance Day, his birthday. So we have, chats. It's still kind of crazy to me, to be honest. Just because I have changed so much. A lot of my close friends within the bank or other institutions which I dealt with that I've like met with through this journey are just like, you look way better.
How's that feel to hear?
It feels amazing. Yeah, because I just feel way better. I just feel like I have purpose.
It's a big word.
Yeah.
That's a big word. Purpose. Sorry. That's so we're open. Business is open. And did it go as you thought it would? You had this statistically mapped out, coming from a numbers background. You knew what to expect. Open the doors, and did it follow your plan, or did it deviate from that? Was it something else?
It's like, I knew I had the best simulators, biggest bays. I knew when people would find us, they would come. But like getting people to know about us, for one thing. Also, being part of social does, for some, not all, incorporate alcohol, which we didn't have. So we were like very late in October, after the soft open. Like people kind of got rumblings from our social media, and the 100 people or so that we had in the soft open kind of percolated out. So we got a couple bookings a day in October. Once we got the liquor license on November 1st, we did our hard open November 2nd, and haven't stopped running from then. The parties came in, the socials, the what have you. We literally did October sales in like 3 days, the first 3 days of November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's working. And you built a giant bar. The bar is gorgeous.
Yeah, and that wasn't intended to be that big. I literally envisioned it initially as that's why you just work with other people. I'm just always so collaborative. I don't think that my idea is the right idea. I think that my idea has a function within the overall idea, but I really like to hear what other people have to say. So like once we got the architect in and figure out like how much space we had between here and here, we're just like, what else is going to go there? Bigger bar.
Bigger bar. Stretch it out.
Yep.
Well, it works really well. I was in the space with you during an event last week, and that big bar was perfect for mingling around. Gives you enough space that you don't feel like you're in a tiny little space. That was a big differentiator for you, opening up a golf sim place.
Yep.
/social. That /social changes the entire floor plan of a golf sim place.
100%. And that's why we branded it when I first started to see the way this was going, branded it as a multi-use event space. I remember even back when I was talking to my wife about doing this, she's like, what am I going to do there? And that was like, in my first kind of 100 people I talked to, like, if they don't golf, like, they're not coming. So how can I create other amenities to attract everyone?
There was a cornhole tournament happening when I was in there. And you've got space for, what was a 4 regulation cornhole.
We can run 4 games at once in more of the social side where people don't necessarily care if it's 27 feet apart.
So you built the thing, you did the thing, it changed everything about your day-to-day. I'm curious if you could go back in time to 3 years ago and give Rich then some advice from you today, what would that advice be?
Honestly, probably would say stay at the bank. As weird as that is. I mean, it was like old Rich just couldn't become new Rich without a significant life event. So, as morbid as it is to say, like, my advice would be check on your grandfather more regularly. Go to his doctor's appointments. Yeah, because obviously it was a sudden heart attack, and so yeah.
You just took my question and made it, put a really interesting twist on it. You went back in time and talked to a different version of you, not the old you that grew into today. That's a really telling perspective. You don't even identify as the same person anymore.
No, I was.
And you're doing it from a place of being happy.
Yep.
Congratulations. That's the journey.
I really appreciate it. I'm I still have my. I'm happy. Obviously, I still have my doubts, but that's what just drives me to figure them out. But I'm in a place of control as well.
Amazing. Freedom, control, happiness, and alignment.
Yep.
You're speaking of all things alignment. That's great. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
This can't be my life. Like, I think I need more. I was raised to think that I could conquer the world.
I won't leave you high and dry. I'll see if I can replace myself as quickly as possible, but that's not going to happen.
Who cares what anybody says? Who cares?
If you can make work something that you love, it changes everything.
My soul is like crying for the fact that my mind was winning a battle on me thinking I'm not enough.